Why is Taeyeon so popular? How did she transition from the leader of Girls' Generation into being one of the best-selling K-pop soloists of all time? Especially during a time when solo debuts were not as much of a guarantee as they are today. Furthermore, why does her success matter and what can we learn from her? If you're a fan of Taeyeon, Girls' Generation, K-pop, or you just want to know a little bit more about her, let's dive into Taeyeon's life and career as an artist to see how the woman who once ran away and almost quit during her trainee period became one of the most inspirational K-pop artists of all time. Let's blast off and get started. JM in your universe. Konnichiwa friends, I'm Jonathan Miller and welcome back to Jonathan Miller Music, where we help each other become better artists. Kim Taeyeon has sold over 1 million albums since debuting as a soloist in 2015. Her recent hit, INVU, topped the iTunes songs charts in 21 different countries around the world, eventually receiving a perfect all-kill, going #1 on multiple Korean music charts. She was the leader of the mega successful group Girls' Generation, who became the first Asian girl group to have 5 music videos reach over 100 million views on YouTube, achieved 10 #1 singles, and half of the top 10 highest grossing girl group tours of all time belong to Girls' Generation. Taeyeon herself is the best-selling female soloist in the history of the Gaon charts, which is kind of the Billboard equivalent of South Korea. She's been cited as the inspiration and influence of BTS, Lovelyz Jihye, Moonbyul, Hyoyeon, and more. She's been invited to record multiple original soundtrack songs for various TV and film projects, including her song If, which still remains as one of her most well-known hits. Her debut solo EP, I, topped the Billboard World Albums chart and directly caused SM Entertainment to lead music sales in the last quarter of 2015. But why is she so popular? There are plenty of other female K-pop soloists that you might be more familiar with, like Lisa, IU, Ailey, Chungha, Boa, Hyuna, and more. So why is Taeyeon the one we're talking about today? Plenty of other female artists have great voices, so what makes her so special? In order to answer this, it's always important to know some history, especially when it comes to somebody else's culture. So as always, please remember that the opinions expressed in this video today are my own, and it's not my intention to try and speak over anyone else. I encourage you to do your own research and listen to the thoughts and opinions of those who are Korean, because once again, these are just my thoughts. Also, if you're enjoying this video so far, give it a like and subscribe if you're new, and leave a comment too, telling me your top 5 favorite songs of Taeyeon if you happen to be a fan of hers, especially if you've followed her for a long time. Which brings me to today's sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid is one of the best music distribution platforms for independent artists to get your music up on places like Spotify and Apple Music. In addition to getting your music out there, they also offer a wide variety of services to help you promote your music to, like Hyperfollow, which is completely free for any DistroKid user to utilize. Hyperfollow is similar to things like Smart URL, except you yourself don't have to go track down any links to your music, as DistroKid auto-populates all of that for you. It's one direct link and landing page that leads everyone straight to your music on all streaming platforms. The best part is you can start using Hyperfollow as soon as you've uploaded your music to DistroKid for distribution, meaning you can start promoting your latest release right away, including collecting email addresses for your email list. You can customize your Hyperfollow page too, with your social links, your music video. Once your release is live in stores, your Hyperfollow page will automatically update too, making this an invaluable tool for online promotion because you won't have to go in and change anything yourself or update any social media posts. Use my special VIP link to save yourself 7% on your first year's membership with DistroKid and get your music out there ASAP. Link in the description. In order to appreciate who Taeyeon is now, you've got to know where she comes from and why at one point she was ready to throw it all away. Kim Taeyeon was born in Jeonju, South Korea on March 9, 1989. Her favorite artists growing up were people like Whitney Houston, Boa, and Uttara Hikaru. As a kid, she believed that her, quote, only talent in life was singing, so at the age of 13, she enrolled in SM Academy, a small division of parent company SM Entertainment, focused on teaching kids how to sing, act, dance, model. It wasn't a guarantee that you would get scouted by SM to become a trainee, but it was more overall designed to help kids excel in the arts. Since then, SM Academy has evolved into SM Institute, a joint venture between its parent company and Jeongro Hana Education as of 2020. Back Back then, Taeyeon's father was very hesitant to let Taeyeon pursue singing. However, seeing his daughter's dedication and her vocal prowess, he became convinced and began taking her to vocal lessons every Sunday at SM Academy. Taeyeon trained under Jung Soon-won, aka The One, for 3 years until she was about 16. Impressed by her vocal power, he gave her a unique opportunity to appear on his song You Bring Me Joy. She eventually competed and won the SM Youth Best competition and officially auditioned for SM Entertainment, where she was cut off halfway through and offered a contract, which she and her family quickly signed. However, K-pop trainee contracts are not all that they seem. K-pop works a little bit differently from the Western music industry. Talent is usually scouted at a young age, trained and developed extensively, and when the company feels the trainee is prepared, they'll be given a chance to sort of graduate into a group or rarely as a soloist, the two of which being the most common avenues. Although modeling and acting are also possibilities as well. On the surface, this seems pretty solid as a successful career plan that has been proven to work. However, you may have heard the term slave contracts thrown around in online communities, and there's a reason for that. K-pop trainee contracts are notoriously restrictive, even more so depending on which company you sign with. You can't date, you have to be placed on a diet to weigh a certain amount, you're working out in dance classes sometimes 8+ hours a day, in most cases you're living in dorms with other trainees, you can't go certain places or say certain things while also attending school, and if you step one toe out of line, it can mean serious financial consequences for you and your family. The competition is incredibly thick, and the pressure trainees are put under cannot be understated, with the mentality being if you're not willing to diet down to 100 pounds, for example, there are 100 other girls who are willing to take your place. Contracts on average also keep you under lock and key for a period of 7 years or more, and when Taeyeon signed her contract, the average time was 10 years or more. As a K-pop trainee, your company is investing tens of thousands of dollars into your development. As I said before, there can be severe financial penalty for breaking a contract early. If you fulfill your contract and your training period, once you debut, in most cases, you start to begin to pay that debt back. Because as a trainee, the company pays for everything: accommodations, housing, food, classes, transportation, and more. You don't start getting paid as an idol until your debts are paid off, which is one of the reasons K-pop debuts mean so much to each individual idol. Break that contract though, then you and your family have to pay all of that money back on your own. Taeyeon in particular recounts training to be an enormous undertaking, dieting especially. In an interview, Taeyeon said the stress of dieting caused her a lot of issues as a kid. She was, in her opinion, on the chubby side, so she would frequently get comments about her weight and reminders to be skinny, which she really struggled with because as a vocalist, she was so hungry she couldn't even properly support her vocals while dancing, and eventually she almost quit completely by running back home. It's not uncommon for a female trainee's breakfast to just be an apple, and that's it. Lunch could be a salad or something smaller, and then they don't eat for the rest of the day. Taeyeon even said that the managers would prevent them from eating, especially if they were deemed too heavy. Now, there have been numerous cases brought to the Federal Trade Commission of South Korea about these slave contracts, but have only gotten so far. Contracts can be ironclad. The reason the big three entertainment companies of South Korea, SM, YG, and JYP Entertainment, are so sought after is because debt is usually forgiven once an idol debuts, meaning usually they can start earning money right away. Otherwise, it can be years before your favorite idol actually starts to earn money. But this was the early 2000s. Taeyeon wanted to follow in the footsteps of SM label mate BoA and release music in Japanese, have activities in Japan and around the world. She ran away back to Jeonju hoping that somebody would want her to return. Future group mate Seohyun also confirmed the stress of dieting, as the girls would often sneak off to eat chocolate or something else that could be consumed really quickly, and they tried really hard not to get caught. However, Taeyeon remembered what she was working toward and quickly returned to SM Entertainment to resume her training. Then, at 19 years old, Taeyeon was finally selected to be the leader as the oldest member of SM's new girl group, their first in a long while. SM was starting to achieve a bit of a gold streak with successful acts like BoA, TVXQ, and Super Junior, as the early 2000s shifted into the mid-2000s, and people were beginning to wonder if SM could produce another SES. It was a new era for K-pop and the beginning of Girls' Generation. Debuting on August 5th, 2007, Jessica, Tiffany, Seohyun, Yuri, Yoona, Hyoyeon, Sooyoung, Sunny, and Taeyeon showcased their very first single, Into the New World, on Korean music show Inkigayo. The group stood out not because they were given little to no makeup at all, but because their strong voices and choreography were so strong that audiences had to focus on their talents over things like flashy lights and stage effects. Hyoyeon revealed many years later that the choreography for Into the New World had been prepared nearly a year before Girls' Generation even debuted, meaning that the girls were practicing their debut song for a long time before launch. The song was initially a moderate hit, eventually reaching number 2 on the Gaon album chart, and reached number 1 on Mnet's M Countdown. Subsequently, they released their debut album, along with a few more singles, like the appropriately titled Girls' Generation, a cover of Lee Seung-cheol's 1989 classic, from which the girls get their group name. The girls were getting attention, but it wasn't until 2009 when the group became a total household name. Their EP, G, and its accompanying title track dropped January 5th, 2009, and became a massive success, selling over 100,000 copies in its first week, and eventually becoming the best-selling single of the entire year. Showcasing an even more cutesy style, and well known for its colorful skinny jeans, the music video helped G receive numerous accolades, become the most popular song of the entire 2000s decade on Melon, another popular Korean music chart, and has since been considered as one of the most influential songs in all of K-pop. It became the first video ever by a girl group to reach over 100 million views on YouTube and received an estimated 5 million digital downloads in South Korea alone. Around this time, the world was starting to move even more so online. K-pop was virtually unknown completely in the West, but music blogs were very popular and always looking for something new. G's success can actually be tracked to show that online searches for K-pop began to dramatically increase once the song dropped and began to get viral action. By today's standards, one could argue that more modern artists like BTS or Blackpink have done way more for K-pop, or that their impact was larger. And to certain extents, you would be right. But those groups didn't exist in 2009, and every tsunami starts with an earthquake, G being the earthquake for the Korean wave, which was quickly approaching Western shores. Following G, Taeyeon and the girls proved that they had staying power and released multiple hit after hit. Genie, Oh, Run Devil Run, showing a more mature side to the women, while also maintaining a balance and showcasing their girlish charms as well. Selling hundreds of thousands of records and attaining multiple number ones, it was time to see just how far Girls' Generation's rising popularity could stretch. So, following the success of label mates TVXQ and BoA, Taeyeon was about to get her wish and finally promote abroad in Japan. A Japanese version of Genie became Girls' Generation's debut song in Japan and was certified platinum. A Japanese version of G reached number 2 on the Oricon charts and became the first single by a non-Japanese girl group to reach the top 3 on the Oricon charts since 1980, and became a million seller there as well, becoming only the second Korean artist ever and the first Korean group to do so in Japan, solidifying their international popularity. The girls even broke more ground by releasing their debut English song The Boys in 2011. Girls' Generation is comprised comprised of women who can speak Japanese, English, Chinese, and Korean, which gave the group a unique advantage in foreign markets. The American music market is the most financially profitable if you can successfully break into the market here. At that time, however, we didn't have very many prominent Asian artists, but Girls' Generation still managed to become one of the first K-pop acts ever to perform on American late-night TV. A massive breakthrough for K-pop acts of today, and something that Taeyeon's idol Boa couldn't even do when she was in the US. As time continued, Girls' Generation went on to break more ground in South Korea and abroad, releasing a seemingly never-ending string of popular hits in Korean and Japanese. Their hit I Got a Boy won at the first YouTube Music Awards in 2013, beating out acts like Justin Bieber and Psy. Their concert tours became some of the highest grossing tours of all time, attracting over 500,000 spectators at one point. Girls' Generation was beloved and dominating the K-pop game, frequently setting music trends and fashion trends, and before you know it, they had become one of the best-selling and most popular girl groups of all time around the world. But all of that success means a lot of pressure. In a system designed to expect perfection at all times, there's bound to be issues, arguments, disagreements, and safety issues. People constantly want what you have. They target your looks, your choices, your music, your movements, your words. The K-pop world can get pretty hectic. It can also get pretty dangerous. In a variety show segment, Taeyeon was once asked what she would give her future child. When people started suggesting her voice, Taeyeon quickly corrected them and said no, because her child, quote, can't become a singer. What was initially passed off as a funny moment, it's obvious now that back in the 2010s, Taeyeon meant the word can't in her statement, because she knew that becoming a singer in the K-pop industry meant unspeakable sorrow at times. Dieting did not end once training days were over. Girls' Generation was so popular and so active that Taeyeon revealed later that the pressures of perfection got to her as someone who easily finds flaws about themselves and then obsesses over them. She was very isolated and stated that she would perform in front of thousands of people and then go home and feel completely empty. She would feel nothing. She tried reaching out to idols her age or a little bit older, and they would simply tell her that this was the best time in her career and she needed to be happy. She felt for a very long period of time that she couldn't talk to anyone, even when Girls' Generation was at the top of their game. Girls' Generation was promoting so much, so fast, that Taeyeon also revealed she genuinely forgot how old she was, and not for a good reason. 2 years would pass because of so many consistent dates that she would just not know what day it was at all. Even in 2019, Taeyeon confirmed in an Instagram Q&A that she was still getting treatment for her depression and on antidepressants. One of the reasons she has been on antidepressants for so long is because from 2017 to 2020, Taeyeon experienced a lot of loss. Mental health issues and depression run deep in the entertainment industry, especially in K-pop, which is something I as an artist who has struggled with mental health issues know myself pretty well. SM labelmate Seohyun of SHINee passed away at the end of 2017, which shocked the entire K-pop industry. Taeyeon and Seohyun were very close friends since their trainee days, and both are known for their strong voices, even collaborating on a few songs. Heartbroken, when he passed, Taeyeon left a tribute message on social media saying, "You were the most unique and talented artist I ever met. I miss you very much and want to hold your hand. Seohyun, you're the best. You worked really hard. I'll make sure you're not lonely." Soon after, at the end of 2019, just before Taeyeon's second album was set to launch, another SM Entertainment labelmate and even closer friend Sully passed away from depression and being the victim of severe online bullying for a number of years. Taeyeon and Sully lived together as trainees and would often support one another in various activities. Taeyeon says Sully was like a little sister to her, and the last public conversation between the women was during an episode of Jinri's Store. Taeyeon made a surprise visit on the variety show to support Sully, during which Sully told Taeyeon that she would never forget this moment. Taeyeon assured her that they would make more memories together and said goodbye to Sully, not knowing what was going to happen soon after. Following the news, Taeyeon delayed her release by a few weeks but did not perform any scheduled activities, and for the remainder of the year became very quiet. Then in 2020, as if that wasn't enough, Just as both the COVID-19 pandemic was beginning and her digital single Happy was about to be released, news broke out that Taeyeon's father had passed away as well on Taeyeon's 31st birthday. She canceled all activities to help set up a private funeral with her family and remained out of the public eye for the duration of the following few months. The man who once took her every Sunday to vocal lessons to help her fulfill her dream had left her, and that was just the latter half of the decade. The 2010s were filled with many highs and lows for Taeyeon, and things happened rather quickly. During a performance of their song Run Devil Run, things got especially frightening. Every fandom has fans that definitely take things too far, or anti-fans, sasaeng fans as they're known in Korean, that will do frightening things to try and take you out, even if that means blackmailing you, or stalking you, or worse. In April 2011, Girls' Generation was performing at the Latte World Ice Rink, and one of those sasaeng fans managed to sneak onto the stage and tried to kidnap Taeyeon right in the middle of the performance. He came right up to her, grabbed her arm, and started taking her off stage. Fortunately, the MC of the show, Oh Jung-tae, and fellow member Sunny realized what was happening and managed to stop the man in question just in the nick of time. Unfortunately, no charges were filed, and fans to this day still don't understand why. Taeyeon said she was terrified to go on stage for a long period of time afterward. This wouldn't be the only time Taeyeon would encounter a sasaeng fan, however. In August 2017, a group of sasaeng fans rushed toward her, grabbed her, and pushed her to the ground while trying to get pictures of NCT at the airport. When she and groupmate Hyoyeon talked about this on Instagram, calling them out, some fans actually got mad at Taeyeon and Hyoyeon for mentioning NCT's name instead of being concerned for their safety. Taeyeon's assistant was also assaulted at one point by someone trying to get close to Taeyeon. Girls' Generation themselves broke headlines in 2014 when it was announced that member Jessica Jung had been seemingly pushed out of Girls' Generation by SM Entertainment, a move that no one expected. While that whole controversy in and of itself deserves a video deep dive like this one day, the expulsion of Jessica appeared to be due to a conflict between Jessica's budding fashion line Blanc and Eclair and Girls' Generation's upcoming schedules. This has been long disputed, of course, but nevertheless, SM announced that Girls' Generation would be moving forward as an 8-member group. As the leader who was quickly blamed for Jessica's departure, Taeyeon apologized the next day directly to fans, saying, "From the start, we only wanted to protect Girls' Generation. Please believe in us one more time," leading many to believe that there were other reasons why Jessica had left, especially when the original music video for Catch Me If You Can leaked online, and Jessica is in it, that had already been reshot with the remaining 8 members. From that point on, and as of this filming, Girls' Generation has only officially performed their debut song Into the New World as a ballad, and never as the exciting, wide-eyed version it once was. Fortunately, Girls' Generation managed to continue as an 8-member group rather unscathed until their unusual hiatus in 2017, after their 10-year anniversary, when Sooyoung, Tiffany, and Seohyun left SM Entertainment at the end of their contracts. However, even now, the members still insist that Girls' Generation is still together, which, if they make their long-awaited comeback, it would be another unprecedented move in K-pop to have one of its most successful girl groups perform activities together with members being from different companies. During all of this, however, and even now, the girls frequently did individual activities that almost always were successful in their own right, even Jessica with Blanc and Eclair becoming a very popular fashion brand. Seohyun, Sooyoung, and Yoona performed in multiple hit dramas, Sunny became a popular MC on multiple variety shows, Yuri launched her solo mini album that went #1 on iTunes in 15 different countries around the globe. Hyoyeon also launched a successful solo career with hits like Dessert. Tiffany Young also launched a successful solo career in the USA, a lifelong dream for the California native. Arguably, the most successful member, however, is Taeyeon. A magical 3-octave range sits in Taeyeon's throat. Vogue magazine described her as the Beyoncé of Girls' Generation. The Korea Herald labeled her with calm and undeniable vocal prowess. Composer Yoo Young-sok described her voice as a woman who has been divorced 7 times, meaning that she was able to convey multiple emotions through song. And by multiple industry professionals, Taeyeon was crowned the best vocalist in all of K-pop in 2015. She was dubbed early on as the original soundtrack queen due to her releasing multiple OST songs for popular TV shows and films, most notably her song If, a ballad recorded just 1 year after debuting with Girls' Generation in 2008, that still remains as one of her most well-known hits in South Korea. Her single I Love You for the K-drama Athena, Goddess of War reached number 2 on the Gaon chart. One of the lowest notes in the female vocal range lies in her OST song Missing You Like Crazy, showing that not only can she comfortably sing high notes around a D6, she can also impressively hit lower notes with that same richness. What's perhaps most impressive about Taeyeon's voice is the sheer amount of versatility it possesses. Taeyeon has sung in just about every genre there is. Funk in songs like Twinkle, rock with Spark, tropical house and EDM in her 2016 hit Why, R&B in songs like Fine, house in songs like INVU, metal in Devil's Cry, a special live-only tour intro to Girls' Generation's Run Devil Run, dance pop with her Japanese song Stay. We can even get a little niche with 90s grunge in her self-penned Can't Control Myself. Disco being the overall genre of Weekend. Hip-hop as part of Got the Beat's Step Back. And so many more. Her voice has been compared to the likes of Ariana Grande, A-Lee, and more, and it's pretty easy to see why. All 3 women sing comfortably in R&B pop genres, excelling in a ballad-type format. All 3 of them have clear, rich tones and a really cool ability to convey a wide range of emotions through their music. A-Lee and Ariana Grande have Taeyeon beat in vocal range, as they're able to hit notes in the 7th octave range on the piano. However, Taeyeon has them beat in terms of currently showcased versatility, like I mentioned before as of this recording. Don't worry though, if Ariana Grande comes out with a metal song here soon, I'll be sure to make an addendum to this. When Taeyeon made her solo debut in 2015 with her pop rock song I, solo debuts were not as common as they are in K-pop today. They certainly were occurring, of course, but by today's standard in which solo debuts are practically expected from fans, you still had to prove yourself to be a worthy investment, even if you were part of a successful group dubbed the nation's girl group. In K-pop, solo debuts are kind of a special event with groups. The artist is still a part of their group, but they get a chance to shine on their own, and then afterward, they resume group activities altogether. Whereas in the West, if you see someone go solo in a popular group, it usually means that the group is probably over. Taeyeon was the first Girls' Generation member to officially debut as a soloist, given her previous success with all her OST songs, and luckily it ended up being a major win for SM Entertainment. The EP topped the Billboard World Albums chart. It has sold over 160,000 copies in South Korea as of 2019. It sold over 2.5 million digital units, won Taeyeon Best Female Artist at the Mnet Asian Music Awards, and directly caused SM Entertainment to lead in music sales in the last quarter of 2015. And this was at a time before streaming and things like Spotify had caught fire and is so widespread like it is today, allowing the door to open for the solo debuts of group mates Seohyun, Tiffany, Hyoyeon, and eventually Yuri. As time continued, Taeyeon fulfilled a lifelong dream by releasing music in Japanese, touring in both South Korea and Japan. She also became the first female K-pop solo act to hold a concert in Taiwan and at the Hong Kong Asia World Expo Arena. In 2014, BTS specifically named her as the influence and inspiration of their song Boy in Love. She also became the first female soloist ever to have 5 different albums albums sell over 100,000 copies in South Korea each. And on February 26, 2022, she became one of only a few SM Entertainment songs to achieve a perfect all-kill on Korean music charts, going #1 with her hit INVU. However, the question isn't what has Taeyeon done though? It's why is Taeyeon so popular? The answer to which actually lies in the very thing that started it all. There are a million things that Taeyeon has done that I haven't even mentioned today, because this isn't a retelling of her Wikipedia page. This is a personal editorial on why Taeyeon is so popular, and why she might even be worth a video essay on, especially when other prominent K-pop figures exist. Why does she matter, and what can artists learn from her? Tiffany Young once said that Girls' Generation felt like the birth of a new era for K-pop, especially for girl groups, and that's exactly what Taeyeon symbolizes. For a certain age group, Kim Taeyeon represents a solid rock in time's ever-changing and ever-flowing river. Her voice is not only instantly recognizable as uniquely hers, but it also is the voice arguably most recognizable from one of the world's most successful girl groups of all time. It's a sound that takes many people back to an exciting time that's akin to how younger people feel every time BTS, Twice, or Blackpink get another win and break more grounds for K-pop. It's the same feeling of cheering on a friend every time Taeyeon opens her mouth and lets the gods transport the listener into the purest emotion of the song. Even if it's a carefree, upbeat dance number, a heavy metal experience, or a ballad that completely captures your heart. She's a humble goofball. That doesn't go out of her way to make sure everybody knows she's a star. She knows the dangers of the industry and what can happen, and the mental toll it can take on a person. Yet, as soon as she steps foot on the stage, or one of her songs come up on shuffle, she commands your attention without demanding you look at her. She's a lesson in being humble and having a little humility for everyone. She's been blamed for something that wasn't her fault. She knows that just because you're on stage doesn't mean you're safe. Taeyeon also knows that just because you're in a popular group doesn't mean that you won't have to wait your turn to attain your personal dreams. She can also teach us that talent will always be valued if you stick with it and love what you do. Taeyeon said that with every song she releases, she wants to make sure it's autobiographical in nature. A song without soul and passion is just a song. SM Entertainment didn't want Taeyeon to release INVU as the lead single from her third album, but she pushed back with them, and it resulted in her earning one of the hardest achievements to get in the Korean music industry. She's a supporter of the LGBTQ+ community. She donates to charitable causes like the Korean Red Cross and important causes supporting abandoned pets and animals in South Korea. She has been very open about her struggles with depression and advocates for better mental health in the industry. Kim Taeyeon is not only popular because of her personality, donations, fashion, and previous success in a girl group, it's because through her humility and humble honesty and soul in her music, she inadvertently became the voice of a generation that eagerly awaits to see what happens next.